Peoples, what's going on? I am Finesse, and this is Mrs. Finesse's 2024 Indian Challenger Elite, number 17 of 325. And today we are going to be changing out these handlebars. Now, these are not the stock bars that came on this bike, but these do not fit her comfortably, or as comfortable as she would like. So we're going to be changing these out, but we'll get into that here in a minute. I wanted to give you guys the last bit of details for the giveaway. So on the video where we reviewed this bike, I just need you to let me know what are the concerns, or what type of people have concerns when buying these big bikes. All right. Now she said this when she was giving her review on this bike on that part of the video. All right. So she said there's only a certain type of people that have concerns when buying a big bike. All right. Now, on the FTR video, and a few of those shots and a few of the scenes, there was a special bike that's been on this channel, that's featured on this channel. And I just need you to let me know what that bike is. All right. I'll give you a hint. There was a review done on it. So, like I said, it's a special bike in the FTR 100% video that was in one of the back or a couple of the background shots. All you have to do is let me know what that bike was or what that bike is, and then just email that to finessthechallenger@yahoo.com the Friday after Christmas, and we'll do probably like 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, and just to jog your memory, so the second place prize is going to be a Indian motorcycle modular helmet. It is in the extra large. And then the first place is going to be the Cardo Pactalk Duo. So you're going to have 2 units in there. Really cool system. You can even buy extra cradles for your extra helmets. So all you have to do is take that the unit off and you can attach it to other helmets. So a really cool system. That's what me and Mrs. Finesse use. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but it's a really good product. All right. And whoever wins that is, I guarantee you're going to enjoy it. All right. Now, back to Mrs. Finesse's Challenger. So, a lot of people in the comments were, well, not a lot of people, there were a couple of comments asking about what bars these were that are on her motorcycle. So currently these are the Tab Performance Plus 6 Folsom Prism bars. And they do, they extend towards the rider a lot more than any of the other handlebars that I've seen, especially the ones from Indian Motorcycle. A lot of times those, they don't necessarily go back, but they do go up. So you can get them higher or lower depending on your preference. But we needed something that was going to be further back so she can have a bend in her arm. And I thought these were going to do it. But you know, she's 5'2", and this is a pretty good sized motorcycle. Now, oddly enough, when she had her Super Chief, when she had the Chieftain, you know, she had trouble reaching the controls. But for whatever reason, on this configuration of this motorcycle, you know, she doesn't have that problem. And maybe because the transmission and the controls are, you know, more spread out because it's a longer bike. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's the seating position, you know, I'm not sure. But either way, through whatever, the foot controls, she can reach them more easily than she could on the other bikes. The only problem was these. The stock bars were probably about 2 inches lower and probably about 4 inches more forward. So she was literally leaning over the tank. So, you know, day one, that's one of the first things I did. Also, because of her height, we had to lower the bike. So the bike is lowered 3/4 of an inch. We did that through Indian Motorcycle. There was a link, not a link like a web link, but there are links, lowering links, on this bike that lowered it 3/4 of an inch. Now, when in its factory form, she was on the balls of her feet, but now she's like almost there, and she can be able to flat foot. And you know, I personally didn't want her to lower the bike just because I had concerns as far as, you know, the clearance and leaning and those types of things. But she was saying that, she'd feel more confident if she could, put, more of her foot on the ground, which makes sense. And of course I need, her being comfortable is one of the best things, or one of the more important things on a motorcycle. You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be overly nervous or tense when you're riding your bike. So her being able to, almost flat foot the bike makes her feel more comfortable. And hey, I'm all aboard with that. So now, and part of my concern is that below the seat you have the reservoir for the radiator, okay, and that's like right where the wheel is. And I just didn't want it to be a situation where the wheel would touch the radiator and bust the radiator. That would like cause a whole another host of problems. But with that 3/4 of an inch, I mean, it's so small that we haven't had any issues. And I've been riding this, well, the times that I've ridden this bike, I lean it over pretty good. Now, I haven't noticed any scraping or anything like that, either the exhaust or the floorboards. So if you're on the shorter end, if you're 5'2" range, then these modifications may do you some good. Now, as far as mods go, I do have the tab exhaust on there that I took off the Chieftain. So we ended up putting that on there because it's the same style of exhaust. It's for the baggers. Also, I have highway pegs. We did do a test fit to see if she could reach them. In the position that they were in, they were kind of interfering with the foot controls. So if it's a problem with the foot controls, then we're gonna have to find something else. The pegs that we have right now are the Infinite Highway pegs from Indian Motorcycle. And if those don't work, then we'll have to look at something else. I think there's a couple other brands that have like a longer extension to be closer to the rider. So we'll look at that if need be. And lastly, we did get her a backrest. So it's the Indian Motorcycle backrest. However, I think I'm going to take it to a upholstery shop to see if they can match this color to match the stitching on the backrest. So other than that, I believe those are going to be all the modifications that we're going to be doing on this bike. It's a gorgeous bike. I mean, it just looks so good. I love the way this looks. Indian Motorcycle really knocked it out of the park, man. People can say what they want, but these motorcycles are just stunning. They just look so good. They perform good. They ride good. And those are the things that's most important to me. The performance, the ride, and then just the overall look of the bike. Gorgeous. All right. So before I get way too deep into that, let's talk about these bars. As I said, these are the Tab Performance bars. These are the +6. So they come in a +4, a +6, and a +8. And I have the 8s on my motorcycle. The 4s I think were too low. This here, Mrs. Finesse's arms are almost level. They're like either right above or right below level. I can't remember. But this is a more comfortable position than where they were from stock because they were down low. All right. So like I said, these bars, while they were better than the stock bars, they didn't quite, fit Mrs. Finesse because her arms were completely locked out, right? And then you figure once you're doing that, and then now you got to turn, you're going to be leaning over the fuel tank. And that's one of the things that you're going to notice with the Challenger and the Pursuit. The fuel tank is much longer than you find on other bikes because the overall length of this bike is long. So, you have to proportionately configure the bike. So, and what I found with other bars is that, especially the Indian Motorcycle bars, while those bars do go up, there's not a lot of options for them to come to the rider. Now they do have a reduced reach, but it's still a low handlebar, and it still doesn't come back far enough, even for myself. I found those to be a little too far, and I'm at 5'9". Now, also, when you're talking about these bars, there's not a lot of movement up and down because you have the fuel tank and then you have the fairing. So when shopping for these bars, I did do some looking around at some other vendors, but they didn't have anything that we were looking for. We were almost looking for something like a pullback style, just because she's so short. All right. But we weren't able to find anything like that. However, there were a few of the companies that did do custom work, and Tab Performance is one of those companies. So I reached out to them. These are, I mean, I have them over here. I'm going to show you guys here in a bit. But just these bars in general, they're so much more comfortable than the other bars that I've tested, which were Indian motorcycle bars. It's only been Indian motorcycle bars and Tab Performance. I haven't tested any other handlebars out. All right, just as a comparison, so these are the custom +6 bars from Indian Motorcycle, and these are the stock bars that come on the bike. Now you can tell just from this part right here how much further or how much closer to the rider that's going to be. Got my trusty tape measure here because, you know, we're judging distances and things. So already we're looking at, if I go from middle to middle, we're roughly 6.5 inches closer to the rider. All right. And then this part here, the bend is probably about 12 inches. And here, the bend is probably about 10.5 inches. All right. So, you know, that's a pretty good difference between the two as far as your bar width. We'll just go from tip to tip. It looks like that's right at about 36 inches right there. And this bar, tip to tip, is probably like 37 inches. So you're going to be about 1 inch wider, but it's going to be so much closer to the rider over the stock. And once I get the +6, the standard +6 bars off, then I'll show you guys that as well. All right, everybody. So I got the bars off, and keep in mind, these are the +6. Each of these bars are the +6 bars. But like I said, we had it custom made to extend 2 inches closer to the rider, which you can see right there with the gap. So basically, it's just this area from here to here, from the front to the curve, is what's the extended portion of it. So now, the last time I did a handlebar install, I showed you guys I was taking off the fairing and, you know, all these things. So that was on my Pursuit. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to just go through the headlight like they do on the Tab Performance website, since this is the Challenger and there's no lowers, okay? Because when I did it with the Pursuit, man, I wouldn't say that it made it more difficult, but it wasn't necessarily easier. It was probably about the same amount of work. But because, you know, we don't have any lowers to mess with and I can be able to get my wrench and stuff in there, I'm expecting this to be a little bit easier than that. So we'll see. I'm not going to record that because I've already done it, but I'll show you guys the end results when we get there. All right, everybody. So the install is now complete. It took me probably 5 hours to do this, and I'm going at my own pace. I took a lunch break, and I'm watching one of my favorite shows here on the TV in the garage. So, you know, I'm not looking for speed or anything, but just to show you that, you know, when you're doing this, you know, take your time, get everything right, get it like you want it, and everything's good to go. So with the headlight, though, when I was talking about earlier that I was going to go through the headlight instead of taking the fairing off, I was trying to do that, but when I put the bike back together from the time that I put the other bars on, I put everything back to factory. So all the zip ties, all the clips, everything was in there. So it was not easy for me to take it off, take the bars off through the handlebars, or excuse me, through the headlight. So I just took the fairing off, you know, no big deal. Everything comes off and goes on real simple. You know, you move the tank back and, you know, the bars go right in there. So Mrs. Finesse is not here. She's at work. but the bike is in the same position, and I believe the camera is in the same position that it was from this morning. So I'll try and do like an overlay or a comparison between the two bars. And I can tell you now, it is definitely much closer to the rider, which is what we're looking for. Also, I've already checked the clearances, so everything is good. And if you're curious, these wires, the cables for your clutch and your brake, there is enough excess cable in there to allow for this modification. Now, these bars from Tab Performance are not for sale. All right, this was a custom set that I went through Tab Performance with. And Tab Performance, if you're watching this, I apologize for all the requests that you're going to get. But I am going to do a follow-up video to this because me and Mrs. Finesse are going to be going on a ride tomorrow morning down to St. Simon's Island. So we're going to be able to, she's going to be able to get this ride in and see how it feels, or if any adjustments need to be done to these bars up and down. There's a little bit of play that I can do if the bars need to come down, but I've obviously got more play if they're going to go up. But we'll see what Mrs. Finesse says. But I think it's perfect where it's at. You can go full lock, no issue. All right. And before I go, there were some questions, or I saw some videos online about these bikes, and some folks had some questions. So this bike does have the electronic adjustable preload system. The 2023 Elites, they have this as well. And like I said, this Challenger has it. And I'm going to show you guys the preload system where it's located. It's on the left side of the bike, right here behind the saddlebag. All right, so we are now here on the left side of the bike. I'm going to open the saddlebag, and then you have this this cover here. I'm going to remove this cover. This long cylinder that goes from here all the way back here, I'd say it's probably, I don't know, 15, 16 inches, somewhere in there. But that is the module for the preload. All right, so when you adjust your preload on the ride command, it's going to send that information to this device here, and then it's going to work its magic. I don't exactly know how it works. I know what it is. I know where it is. But I mean, essentially, it's just going to add the preload to your bike, right? So now I've adjusted this while sitting on the bike because I wanted to see if I could feel a difference in the height. But I didn't notice anything. Either that, or maybe it's just so subtle. But it's not like I don't know, like you'd have in a GMC or excuse me, like you would have in a Jeep product or a Dodge product, where you could actually see the suspension going up and down. But it's a comfortable ride, so I'm assuming it works. All right, y'all. So it is the next day. It's the next morning. It's Saturday morning. Me and Mrs. Finesse are going to take the bikes out. She's going to give her a good run through of these bars. I think they look great. I'm going to get some shots of her on the bike. We're going to compare that to what she was riding previous to with the other bars. But just so happens, Wood Jr. is doing his a test run for his end of the year ride, which is going to be December 30th. And I want to say they're meeting up at Harley Davidson. I'm not sure, but I'm sure you can go over and check his channel out, Wood Jr. on YouTube, and he'll give you all the information that you need for that. But we're going to do the test run today. We're going to be meeting up with him. I think JT's coming along, and then we got some other friends in the neighborhood that'll be coming along with us. So we should be out for a couple hours a day. That's going to give Mrs. Finesse a good time, or is going to give her a good time on this bike, so she can give her opinions about the bars. And once we get done with that, we'll talk to her, man, and see what she says. All right, y'all. We'll catch up with you. The man.
I ain't Robert Simmons. I'm not about to do that turning. Oh
no. The man, the myth, and the legend.
What's up, y'all?
We rode up to St. Simon's Island, Southern Soul Barbecue. Look at it, look at it.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
My battery probably died before you.
Yeah, so I was telling Wood when we came up, we was gonna outnumber them Harleys with the Indian motorcycles.
I was like, am I the only one?
You the only Harley? Yeah, and then we got a Honda though. We got the Honda. All right. Yeah, man. That's all the bikes right there. That's the crew right there. We came rolling up. We got Eric. That's his Honda. We got JT. We got Erica. We got Mrs. Finesse. We got Russell. We got Wood.
My battery is gone.
Yeah.
Look, hey, all this filming is my guy Finesse the Challenger. Which way I'm looking?
It's all good.
Man, I one battery. How did I bring? You know what?
Man, you got an iPhone though.
Yeah.
Use your phone, man. It's a better picture.
All that shaking. And
No, look at all this shaking. Where?
Whoa.
No.
Hey, but
All right.
minority, man, with the only Harley. Dude.
Hey, man. Hey, well, now you sticking out.
Right, exactly.
All right, so you had some seat time with the bars. What was that? Probably about an hour and a half?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Ooh, it's good. Oh, it's good. So between the lowering and the bars, I mean, it's a custom fit.
Nice.
That's great.
That's what I like to hear. And then, of course, she had to add the Cookie Monster up there.
So comfortable.
And she's talking on the microphone, but it's okay.
My bad. I'm sorry.
So we're gonna go ahead and get inside, man. Give me some food, man. I don't do all this talking when we at the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? I can get inside, give me some food. All right, y'all.
Si quieres arena, sé que estás muy buena y todo, pero el que juega con fuego se quema. Sabiendo que existen miles así de hermosas y así de nenas. Quieres que por un ratico me den castigo, me den condena. No lo estás pensando bien.
Chica me tienes de virolao, mirando como un bajo lao. Si te sigo el juego te he fretado. Todos mis días están contados, si se enoja tengo lo que a ella se le antoja. Pero nada de eso, le doy tarjeta roja. Fue una bonita paradoja, hasta que se nos volteó la hoja. Mami, eres pura adrenalina, las candelas en el barrio más que gasolina. Pero mami, veo como a ti te miran, por eso yo me quedo quieto y tú bien tranquila. Yo no quiero nada de problema, más tú tienes novio, no voy a tocar el tema. Tú estás bueno, pero tú ya mami queman. Por eso ya me fui en la Porsche
Si
Panamera.
quieres arena, sé que estás muy buena y todo, pero el que juega con fuego se quema. Sabiendo que existen miles así de hermosas y así de nenas. Quieres que por un ratico me den castigo, me den condena. No lo estás pensando bien. A ese barco no me montó, de eso estoy certero. Nací pa' cantante, no fue por diosero. No me como restos de la otra.